My neighbors are building stuff in their backyard right now, so I'm trying to film while it's a little bit more quiet, but if you hear construction noises, that is why. Anyways, hi, what's up everybody? It's Fern. Welcome back to another Planty video. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm actually really excited about this video because I had so much fun just kind of thinking this through and picking out my selections, and I feel like it helped me to kind of think about my plant collection a little bit differently, or yeah, it was fun. So I'm excited to share with you today. My original idea for this was just for me to pick my top 3 favorite plants from each genus, not each genus, but like the main ones that I have multiple plants of. And it kind of morphed into me picking 3 plants that I think would be a really good kind of like variety and balance out of each genus or genera. Does that make any sense to you? So if I could only have 3 philodendron, which 3 would I keep to kind of have some variety within only 3 different philodendron? So I thought about things like which ones would give me different growing options, like climbing versus trailing, or different color options, and just 3 that I think would be really solid options if I could only have those in my collection. And this really made me think about my plant collection differently because, as many of y'all know, I'm trying to downsize, and I don't often think in like which plants would work really well together, which plants would just provide the most diversity in my collection. I usually am more caught up on just like which ones are my absolute favorites, which fair enough, but I just thought that this was an interesting way to think about it. So maybe this will help someone out and give you some options to consider if you have a smaller collection or you want to curate your collection down. Yeah, had a lot of fun with it. So I have mostly different genera, but then also some of them are just kind of like a grouping of plants. So for example, I have succulents because I don't really have multiple of one genus really, except for Hoya. I have 4 of those. But yeah, I'm just gonna do like succulents in general, and then there's some other ones that are kind of like that as well, just like a grouping that I put together. But I have 11 different categories. I kept just adding them on because it's just fun to pick them out. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with Hoya, and you have to forgive me because it was so hard to choose 3. I was really settled on 2 of them. Well, actually that's not true. That's not true. It was hard. I think Hoya was the hardest one to think through. So of course, the first Hoya that I would have, if I could only have 3 Hoya, would be Hoya linearis. Y'all know that I love Hoya linearis so much. I feel like it provides it's just so beautiful and delicate looking. I love the way it drapes. I love hanging trailing plants. So that would definitely be number 1 on my list. And for my bigger plants, I'm just gonna do B-roll or pictures so you'll see them on screen, because a lot of my plants are just getting too big to be constantly taking up and down. I feel like a lush linearis is just like a must-have in anyone's plant collection. Even if you're not a Hoya person, I feel like the linearis is one that's just beloved by people who aren't even Hoya collectors. So yeah, always has to be in any collection. And then the second one is actually Hoya polyneura. I feel like this is just such a beautiful plant to have in your home. Again, we have this kind of cascading effect, and it's just so, even if people weren't Hoya lovers, like this plant is just so beautiful. The way it grows, the way it flows out. Also can live in a variety of different conditions. It's low light tolerant. It's just one of my all-round favorite Hoyas, and this is definitely shot to the top of being just like one of my all-time favorite plants. It's so easygoing, it grows pretty quickly, and I feel like it just really packs a punch. They also come in different varieties, so you can get a silver one, you can get different forms of variegated polyneura. I feel like it is just such a fantastic Hoya to have. This is one that I personally would always want to have in my collection and in my home, even if I didn't have as many Hoya or as many plants as I do. Now, the third Hoya option is where I really started to struggle because, of course, my natural instinct was to say compacta. But then I was like, I already have Hoya linearis. We already have Hoya polyneura. Those are both trailing, cascading kind of Hoya. So I was thinking about something that is maybe like a trellised Hoya that would kind of add some balance in and offer the opportunity to like do fun trellising projects and stuff like that, because you don't really trellis Polyneura or linearis. You can trellis compacta. I've seen it done, but I much prefer them hanging. So I was like, why don't I choose something else other than the compacta? And unfortunately, I have 4 options. I know, but I just feel like they're really great options. I don't know what to tell you. Option number 1 is Hoya thomsonii. I am just obsessed with this Hoya since I put it on this round trellis. I feel like it's giving now, and I'm so glad that I did this because I was not appreciating this plant when it was trailing. Maybe if I had it hanging in the window I would have appreciated it more, but the way it was on my shelf, it wasn't looking great. So it's only been on the trellis for a few weeks now, and I think it looks absolutely stunning, and it seems very happy because it's been growing a ton. So I thought that this would just be a really great option. It's easy care, fast growing. You can grow it in different types of lighting. I currently have this growing on my Vitjo shelf. It's actually quite close to my Barina lights now, and some of the new growth is coming in super dark and beautiful. If you look at these leaves there, stunning. Okay, Cadence is barking and my neighbors are literally like erecting some structure right outside the window, so BRB. Was this where the camera was before? No, it's not. Okay, back to reasons that I love Hoya thomsonii. So yes, it is fuzzy, fast growing, easy, also adorable flowers, especially if you get the pink flowering variety. Now I'm really hoping that mine's gonna flower this year, because I really want to find out if it's the pink or the white. I have a feeling that it's the white flowers. It didn't say a color when I bought it, I don't think. No, it didn't. So I really hope it's pink, but I have a feeling it's gonna be white just because, I don't know, I feel like that one is maybe a little bit more common, and maybe I just don't want to get my hopes up for the pink. But either way, the blooms are stunning on the thomsonii. And it's one that you can do really fun trellising things with, or you could grow this trailing. You could do that too. So yeah, I think that this would be a really great Hoya to choose as a staple in your collection. Next, we have another classic in the mix, but I had to choose Hoya Mathilde because, again, this can be trellised in a lot of different fun ways, and I feel like the Mathilde is such a good candidate for a trellis, specifically a circle trellis, or I'm actually going to be putting this on a heart-shaped trellis, which I'm really excited to do. I was supposed to do it last week for Valentine's, and I didn't, so I'm going to get that done this week. I'm going to be sad to repot it, though, because it's in such a pretty little pot, but I'll move one of my succulents into this pot, and I'll be able to appreciate it with a different plant. But yeah, I love the Mathilde so much. I'm such a sucker for round leaves. So, oh, look at these ones. These big, massive ones. Oh my gosh, they're so perfect. This is just, oh, such a pretty variety or specimen. This is the silver variety. I also have the regular green one. And there's even variegated for this one as well. So lots of different options and just different ways you can grow it. They look beautiful trailing, they look beautiful trellised, and I feel like it's just a great like standard Hoya for anyone's collection. Also has really cute blooms, but I've heard that they smell really bad. So I've never had mine bloom before. I would love to see it bloom though, even if they're stinky. Okay, another option that I just had to put, I'm sorry, I know I have so many options for this last like third spot, but I couldn't help myself. Hoya sulawesiana, I feel like this might actually be the one that I choose if I actually had to pick. I would go linearis, Polyneura, and this one maybe? I don't know. I don't have a ton of experience even growing this. This was my #1 wishlist Hoya last year and I got it, so obviously mine is still quite small. But when I see photos of these grown out, I think that they're so unique. They have like a prehistoric kind of like thick leaf, but it's very long and slender, which is interesting. These look really cool trellised again, but most of all, I love the blooms on this and I cannot wait for mine to bloom for me one day. They are fuzzy and pink and just a dream. So I just feel like this is like an interesting and maybe a more challenging variety to grow. So I felt like it would just add something a little bit different to the mix. And then lastly, this is probably unnecessary, but this is just like a solid silver option for my silver plant lovers out there. I see you, I am you. Again, one that trellises really nicely. This is like a nice bushy option too. Like, look at how cute she looks. This plant had a rough year last year, but it's looking a lot better, thankfully. But this one sunstresses really beautifully as well. Like, it turns really purple, so that could be a fun characteristic. This is why it's so hard to choose with Hoya, because they offer so many different things and ways to grow them, and they can look different in different lighting, and they have different flowers. So it was really hard to narrow this one down. But yeah, I felt like the New Guinea Ghost would be another really great candidate, and this is probably one that I would always have in my collection as well, so had to go in the top 3. Okay, so the next category is Begonia, and y'all know Hoya and Begonia are probably my 2 favorites, if we're being honest these days. So I think that's why it's the hardest for me to choose. I had this one settled, but now again, it's that third option. It's 1 and 2 are easy, but then when I try to think of the third option, I want it to be something that offers just something a little bit more different than the other 2. So yeah, I struggled a little bit again, but I'll start off with the 2 that I know for sure I would want to have. Oh, crispy leaves here, that's okay. Okay, my first pick is my stunning Begonia Fanny Moser, and is it better the lighting on this side? Yeah, I think so. And I'm excited to be talking about this one today because isn't she looking so stunning? I feel like she's really on her comeback. If y'all have been following along, then you would know I chopped this up and then restarted her from cuttings, and now she's finally, like, she's getting her darkness back. She's looking, well, she would be looking shinier if she was freshly showered. She's a little dusty right now just because I'm doing pest treatment with beneficials, so I haven't been showering my plants for the last few weeks because I don't want to just shower the bugs off, obviously. But normally she's like very shiny looking and just absolutely stunning. She seems to be loving pond life, which is really nice. Anyways, this isn't supposed to be an update video, but yes, Begonia Fanny Moser. I love this. This is the first one that came to mind because it's just so dark and it gives you that like classic polka dot angel wing begonia look, but with a twist because it's just such a deep color. I love it so much. I think it's so beautiful. And yeah, this has been one of my top favorite begonias for the past year or so, I would say. It's incredibly easy to grow. Oh, this totally should have been in my plants that can withstand underwatering video that I posted not too long ago. Because this one, even when it was potted in soil, I could miss a watering and it would not care at all. It was just such an easygoing plant that way. I decided to put it in pond just for ease of care because I'm wanting to transfer more of my begonias and alocasias, things like that, into pond. But yeah, I feel like this begonia is just such a great pick. It's like classic looking, but offers something a little bit more interesting. Also, I'm sure that it flowers. Mine hasn't flowered before. I would love if it did though, so maybe this year, we'll see.
I was trying to be quiet.
No, it's okay. But yeah, Begonia Fanny Moser, love her so much. I think, is this also called Miss Mummy, or is that something different? Because I was looking something up the other day and when I was searching Fanny Moser, it kept saying AKA Miss Mummy, and I was like, wait, is that the same thing? So I don't know, let me know if you know, because I've always just called it Fanny Moser because that's what I bought it as. You already know what's gonna be next. You already know. Begonia paulensis. Of course, this is not only a begonia that I would always keep in my collection, but if I literally only could have like 10 plants in my home, this would be one of them. That's how obsessed I am. Sorry, it was cloudy today, now the sun's coming out. Now that we're getting closer to spring and summer, I'm gonna have a lot less lighting issues, hopefully, because the light doesn't come in as far during the summertime. So yeah, sorry if that has been annoying in any of my videos recently, but it's just crazy lighting in here sometimes. Anyways, Begonia paulensis. She looks like a spider web, which is not the coolest thing ever. She has massive leaves. This plant grows quickly, it gets huge. I can't even believe this was a tiny, just like one leaf, I think, cutting, like tiny. When I first got it, I was not prepared. I was not prepared for how amazing it was going to grow into, but look at her. Oh my goodness. Oh, these round leaves. And also this is like a rhizomatous begonia, I believe. So it's not, it's different than a cane begonia. It has a different growth pattern. It stays more, I don't know if compact is the word for this one because it obviously is big, but it stays shorter. So it's a really great plant to kind of put in front of taller plants to fill in the space and utilize the space. I get questions on growing this plant all the time because I think that the common knowledge for this one is that it's a terrarium plant or it needs some type of like greenhouse, higher humidity conditions. But mine just lives in my dining room. Right now our humidity in here is 52% and I feel like that's pretty average. I do keep it well watered. The other day it was completely drooping because we'd had some really sunny days and I guess hadn't increased my watering enough to keep up with the change in weather. So I looked at her and she was drooping and I was like, oh no. I panicked and then immediately came and dumped some water into her pot, but now she's perked up. However, she does have some crispy, nothing too bad, but you will get crispy edges if you miss a watering. But if you stay on top of the watering, it's fine. Sometimes I will fill up her tray so that you can literally see there's like residue. I will fill up her tray with water so that she's sitting in some water just so that she is not going to dry out, and that seems to work well. But yeah, I love this begonia so much. Of course it had to be on my list. Okay, so for the third begonia there was a couple of different directions I could go in. First of all, I have various terrarium begonias that I really love, like the Chloristicta, but then I decided that I'm gonna keep this to plants that I can grow in room humidity, so I'm not gonna choose a terrarium begonia. And then I was thinking I want something that can get really big because neither the Fanny Moser or the Polensis, I mean, I don't know how tall the Fanny Moser can get honestly, but I haven't grown it more than like probably a couple feet tall. So immediately I was like, oh, Begonia Lucerne, because that can grow like 6 feet tall and just be majestic, beautiful, beautiful flowers. I feel like that would be a really good option. So yeah, that is, I guess, I wasn't gonna do this again where I'm giving like multiple options, but I can't help myself. So Begonia Lucerne I feel is a good option. Also Begonia Magdalene Madsen, which is my Listata hybrid. That plant is huge and it's also really unique because it's velvety, it flowers beautifully, it's just such a gorgeous plant. But I think that the official one that I'm gonna have in my grouping, mine unfortunately is like not looking great right now. I don't know why she's so pale lately. Maybe she doesn't like the Barinas. I might actually move her soon. But my official third option is going to be Begonia Thurstonii, not me forgetting the name, just because I feel like it offers something different. It has a really glossy leaf. Also, these can get really big, not only in leaf size, but they can get like tall and full, which I really like. Mine's never bloomed for me before, so I can't speak to that, but I would imagine it can bloom. I would love it if it bloomed. That would be very, very nice if you want to go ahead and do that. I'll be inserting footage of when this was big, but I just feel like it's different. Like it doesn't have polka dots, which is why I didn't officially go with the Lucerne, because I was like, well, if I already have Fanny Moser, do I need Lucerne? I feel like these three, this one, the Polensis, and the Fanny Moser are all just, they have different traits and they're interesting and different sizes, and yeah, so anyways, I love this begonia. Like I said, I think I'm gonna need to find a different spot for her because she's just looking kind of pale. And I don't know what that's about. This is normally a really dark begonia, has beautiful red backs. So yeah, I need to give her some TLC, but yeah, those are my begonia picks, which is very difficult. Okay, so now we are moving on to philodendrons. Spoiler. And the first one that I immediately thought of is Philodendron Patriciae. Oh my goodness, it's heavy in this ceramic pot. This has become maybe my #1 philodendron. I am very, very in love with this plant. I love a pendant, long, strappy leaf, and this one is just perfect. It's been so easygoing and easy to grow. It doesn't even get that much light, and it's still been pumping out these big, beautiful leaves. This one is so fresh. Look at that. oh my gosh, I just feel like this has been one of the most rewarding philodendrons for me to grow. I've had zero issues of like the leaf having trouble emerging or anything like that. It's just been so low maintenance. I do have it in self-watering in pond. Let me pull, oh gosh, yeah, that ceramic pot is way too heavy. Yeah, okay, so I have it in one of these clear self-watering pots, and I just keep this bottom little reservoir topped up. And then of course it's on a Rousseau moss pole that I try my best to keep moist. It just lives in natural light. So it's obviously been winter over the past several months, or fall/winter, and still it's been growing and just giving me these beautiful leaves. Like, it doesn't really seem to need a lot of direct sunlight or anything like that. It's just been an absolute dream to grow, and it is just like a dream in terms of the way it looks. Okay, I need to put it down, you guys. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. Whew, I have been working out again, but we're not there yet. Oh my gosh, I just, with the ribbing, like the texture of this, oh my goodness, it's just, I'm obsessed. It's perfect. It's perfect. So yeah, I feel like this definitely has to be the #1 option for philodendron. If you have considered getting Patriciae, or you've wanted it in the past, if it's on your wish list, I highly recommend you grab one, because I've been finding myself not really as drawn to philodendron over the past probably couple of years, honestly, or at least like year. But this one, it still ignites that joy for philodendron in me. Like, I just love it so much. So yeah, honestly, if you're gonna get any plant from this video, I feel like it should be this one. Also, it seems that the nodes stay pretty tight on this plant. Like, it hasn't even filled up an entire moss pole yet, but I feel like you just get such a big bang for your moss pole buck, you know what I mean? Because it doesn't need so much space and, you know, poles stacked on poles stacked on poles to be able to grow. But it is a climber, so it definitely would benefit from a moss pole. Okay, so after that stunning climbing option, the second one that immediately came to mind was Philodendron Lemon Lime. Now, unfortunately, I don't have one in my collection right now, but I have had one in the past that grew just beautifully for me. It was so lush and full and just so long, and yeah, it was absolutely stunning. I miss that plant a lot, and I do want to add it back into my collection eventually, but I just feel like that I don't know, it's my favorite of the trailing philodendron, both with the color and just the way that it kind of like cascades down. The leaves get big, they get tinged like a pinky orange color when you give it a lot of light as well. I think that is just a top tier philodendron. So I feel like that would just, yeah, it's nice to have a trailing one in there to kind of round everything out, because my next option for philodendron is my Philodendron El Guapo, or SP Silver / SP Columbia. This is one of my favorite philodendron for a couple of reasons. First of all, these leaves can get massive, and I love the like puffiness to them, like all of these like I don't know, pleats. It's just so beautiful. And also the color, this is more of a blue toned green, so that is a major plus for me because I love my silvery plants. This one also does well in low light. Actually, not even does well, it pretty much needs to grow in lower light. If you give it too much light, it will get a bleached out look to it. So it's easier to find a spot for it, you know, you don't need to have it right in your window or right under a grow light. But most of all, I just chose this one because it really fills the void of big, like puffy, heart-shaped philodendron. I don't know, when this was big, I loved it so much, so I'm really trying to grow it out again. This is technically a crawler as well, so you could put this in a horizontal pot and grow it crawling. I am training mine to climb. I'm pretty sure it's rooted into the pole here, although I'm not really seeing any roots, so is it? Maybe it's not quite rooted, or it's just like starting to root. I don't know, I can't tell, but it is up against the pole now, so it's gonna start rooting in soon if it hasn't yet. I was growing my last one climbing, which is why I'm trying it again with this one. It's just a space saving thing for me. I would prefer to grow something vertically than horizontally. It just keeps it a little bit more compact. I also have these S hooks attaching the petioles to the moss pole as well to keep it more compact, or else these long petioles will just be splaying out everywhere. So yeah, that keeps it a little tidier, a little nicer. I just feel like this is such a nice one, and it really rounds out the little philodendron collection of our nice pendant leaf, our trailer, and then just like a big kind of classic heart leaf shape philodendron. The other one that I was considering is Philodendron gigas, because I was like, well, it might be nice to have something dark and velvety in the mix, but I think, well, yeah, maybe it would be nice to have something dark and velvety. Okay, if I was gonna choose a fourth option for philodendron, I'm literally doing this for all of them. If I had to choose a fourth option for philodendron, it would be the gigas, because I think that's my favorite, like, dark velvety climbing philodendron. I've talked about that one recently in, I don't even remember what video. Oh, my dark plant video. Yeah, it's stunning. So those are all great options, but yeah, I think those would be my top 3. And honestly, I feel like I would be fulfilled to grow those philodendron out if those are the only ones I could have. Kind of checks all the boxes. Okay, so the next category that we're moving on to is Anthurium. And obviously the first one on my list has to be Anthurium pallidiflorum. Again, we're starting off with those beautiful strappy leaves. I love a long plant so much, whether it is like an actual trailing plant, like a trailing basket, or it's just these long pendant leaves. I love them both so much. The longer the better. And yeah, I'm obsessed. I feel like the pallidiflorum, it checks all the boxes. It is velvety, it's super easy going. I grow mine in not the brightest, I mean, I don't know if I would say low, I mean, it is kind of low light. It is kind of low light. I don't have to go out of my way to give it crazy conditions, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And it still just puts out beautiful leaves. They're shimmery, they're velvety, they're dark. Mine is also like super narrow. It's just perfect. I love it so much. I love pallidiflorum. Probably my easiest Anthurium to grow as well. It demands nothing of me. It just hangs out and is beautiful. It's also working on a new leaf right now, so that's really exciting. But yeah, that one would have to be at the top of my list. I just feel like you can't go wrong with it. I do also have Vitirifolium, but I don't like it as much as pallidiflorum, so yeah, that has to be my number 1 pick. And after that, I was thinking of what would be a good Anthurium that isn't velvety, because I feel like most of my Anthurium, almost all my Anthurium, are these like velvety types. So I was like, well, the Moodianum would be a fantastic option because it's this like smooth, shiny kind of leaf. Again, this one's kind of dusty right now. Apologies. Let's move it over here. Y'all have seen her recently, so I'm not going to talk a ton about this one, but it's super dark, but it has that like shiny leaf, which I really like just because it's different than a lot of Anthurium in my collection. It's also pretty easygoing. We have our moments together for sure, and I was getting a little bit concerned about her recently because she hasn't put out a new leaf in a while, but it looks like she's starting to work on one, so that's really nice to see. But yeah, just such a stunning pick. Has that beautiful classic heart-shaped look, but it's a little bit different because it's more of this like moody kind of vibe. It's like dark and has like a burgundy kind of tinge to it. It's just so pretty. So yeah, I love the Moodianum so much. I've been especially falling in love with it recently, and I'm excited to watch it get even bigger. So I feel like that is a really nice option to kind of bring the mini Anthurium collection together. And then the last one that I picked is the Anthurium King of Spades, because look at her, like you can't go wrong. I wanted to think of something that would be the kind of like classic round, velvety, veiny kind of Anthurium, and I feel like the King of Spades is just the perfect option. It is just so striking, like look at that. And this is relatively, I mean, it's technically the newest leaf, but it's definitely not new anymore. It's lost a little bit of its freshness, but it is still just so beautiful. But the whole process of watching these leaves come in is just otherworldly, honestly. They come in like super pink and peachy, and it's just, I have so much appreciation for the leaf the whole way through, like from when it's very small until it completely hardens off. Like even still, this is just an immaculate plant. I love it so much. So yeah, that is gonna be my third option, and together I feel like these three honestly like make just the perfect kind of trio for Anthurium. You kind of get a taste of just a lot of different leaf types, and they're all, I mean, I'm gonna say this is easygoing, but you have to have patience because they take a long time between leaves. I don't know when I'm gonna get another leaf. It looks like, is it gonna put out a flower? I don't know what it's doing, but it's worth the wait, honestly. Like, it really is worth the wait to get these beautiful leaves. So yeah, you just have to have patience. Also, this is coming up due for a repot as well, because look at those roots in there. So maybe we will do that sometime soon for the spring. That would actually probably be perfect. So might go ahead and do that within the next month or so. Okay, so next on my list is Epipremnum, which was a little bit tricky for me. I think just because I love Epipremnum so much, but I don't have that many of them, and I think that that's just because there's not as many commercially available as like Philodendron. But I've come up with 3. And the first one on my list is, of course, Marble Queen Pothos, because she's just an icon. I'm currently growing mine climbing, and I'm obsessed with it. The variegation on her leaves, like everything is just so perfect, stunning, and I'm having so much fun growing that one climbing. Not only that though, it also makes a beautiful trailing basket. I just feel like it's a classic for a reason, and that's because it is just almost indestructible and it's so pretty. And all of the colors that you get in the variegation are just stunning. So that has to be in the #1 spot. I'm gonna be doing a chop and extend on mine soon, so I'm excited to get the top part of the pole potted up and then hopefully just see it continue to grow and give me those beautiful leaves. It's so fun to see the Marble Queen in like large mode because the leaves, you can just, it just blows up all of the different colors and you can just appreciate all of the detail that's in it. So I've been loving that. Second on my list, kind of similar to the Marble Queen, but not really. I hesitated to put both of these on this list because they are kind of similar in the sense that they're both like white variegated Epipremnum, but I feel like they're different enough that I can really appreciate both of them. And it's actually kind of random that I'm even putting this one on this list because in the past I haven't been a big fan of Mandula pothos, but there is one way to grow them that I just think that they're absolutely stunning, and that is climbing. So this is, I think, attempt number 3 for me to grow a Mandula pothos climbing, and I think that I'm finally having luck, you guys, because I just saw that we have all of these roots in the back, so it's officially climbing, which is very exciting. I have it on this dark Rousseau grow pole and I'm loving it. Also with the topper, I've got the whole Rousseau set up for this one actually, even the foldable pot, and it seems to be loving it. So I'm really excited to see this growing. There's just something about the Mandula when its leaves are big. Again, it's just like, it's like a painting blown up or something. You can appreciate all the different colors in there, and it's like, it looks very like watercolor. It's just something about the Mandula climbing is just super magical. And I think that the reason I don't really love them trailing is because the leaves have this kind of like wavy shape to it, which I don't like as much. But when it's climbing, it just works. It looks stunning. So I'm really excited to see this climb more. I just thought it would be a kind of fun option, and you know, even though they're both variegated Epipremnum, they're definitely still a lot different. So yeah, that is pick number 2. And then pick number 3, I obviously had to switch it up a bit, and I'm gonna go with Cebu Blue. Now mine is very small because I'm growing this back out from cuttings, so it's so teeny tiny, but it's still cutie and it's been growing. So I'm sure, honestly, I think I'm gonna have a trailing plant in no time, because these just, once they get going, they really get going. I've always loved the Cebu Blue. I remember being so excited when I first got this years ago now. I did a trade with someone, I think this is like 2019, and I think I traded Rhaphidophora tetrasperma for Cebu Blue, and I remember being like so nervous to ask this person or like put it on the Facebook group, I think is what I did, because I just thought like, oh, Cebu Blue, that's like such a rare, hard to find plant and nobody's gonna want to trade me. Now they're like super common. You can go to the big box store and find these. But yeah, it was just a really exciting plant for me to get, and it did not disappoint. I was so in love with this. This turned into a big trailing basket for me, and I don't know, I just kind of it ended up looking not so great. Is living in the bedroom and just kind of got neglected. So I'm on a mission to grow this back out again, and I think now I'm gonna have it on the Vitcho shelf and like trailing down that so I can really appreciate it, because it deserves it. It has a beautiful texture to it. It has a beautiful silver blue color that is my favorite, and I feel like it is something so different out of the whole Epipremnum family, just because it does have that silver tone to it. Also, you can grow these climbing. I have one climbing as well, and it's beautiful. It's so fun to watch the fenestrations come in and everything. So it's definitely different from the other two because they're not going to easily fenestrate. The Epipremnum aureum, is that the species name? I think so. But this is Epipremnum pinnatum, and those ones fenestrate when they climb more easily. So yeah, I'm feeling good about these three. Okay, we're now moving on to succulents, and this one was a little tricky for me as well, but we're gonna push through, okay? So the number one succulent that I have on my list is the burrow's tail succulent. That is one of my all-time favorite plants. Don't ask me why I haven't had it in my collection for like 3 or 4 years. I really need to get another one because I love them. Something about like when I think of my dream hanging plants, I think of Hoya compacta, burrow's tail succulent, and my linearis. Like, I think I could be content even if I only had those three because they're just so stunning and just beautiful, like jungly statement plants. So yeah, burrow's tail, I need to replace mine. I'm just trying to not bring new plants into my collection right now until I'm on top of all the situations that we have happening here, like the mealies, mostly the mealies. So yeah, I love that one so much. So that's gonna be my number one pick. Second to that, I'm gonna go with the bear's paw succulent, because this is just like the epitome of a cute, quirky, like it doesn't get better than this. This is just the perfect succulent. It is so stinking cute with its little paws. I have the variegated one, as you can see. Now, the lower half of it is looking a little questionable. Definitely needs a good spring cleanup soon. I actually think that I'm gonna experiment with propagating this soon, so I might make a whole video on that because I have been asked by y'all before, and I've never tried it before, so it could be a fun little experiment. But like the top of this is looking so nice, so I think it'd be a good idea to start a new plant just from these like nice full, like look at them, they almost just like look like little rosettes of paws. Like that's so cute, and I think that's how it's supposed to look rather than the kind of spindly bottom I have going on here. I think it maybe like the light wasn't right for it or something for a while, and now it just seems to be loving life under the Barina lights. Yeah, this is a really fun succulent. I honestly would like I think there's like an inner variegated one. This is the outer variegated. So there's a different type of variegation, or like an Oreo, like a yellow, I don't know. I know that there's different types of this. And then I would also consider getting just the regular green one as well, like having 3 different types of this just because I love it so much. And it's like a relatively small compact plant, and it's very undemanding. So yeah, I really want to get this one looking better this year. That's definitely a goal of mine. Okay, and then this is where I struggled again for the third one, because on the one hand, I love my different Haworthia. Is this a Cooperi? Yeah, this is Haworthia Cooperi Emperor. I have 2 different Haworthia Cooperi and then 2 different Haworthia obtusa, and they're very similar looking. They have these like round, chubby leaves that are kind of like windows. Like you can see, I mean, not from where your angle is, but if you're looking at this against the light, you can kind of see through them. They look like they're full of some sort of liquid or something, and they're just so interesting to look at. They look like jelly. That's what it is. Like you just like want to squish these. This one has kind of like a blue tint to it as well. It's just so cool. I chose this one to show you because it's just put out this little flower spike thing, and so it's gonna flower for me soon, which is fun because this is gonna be the 3rd Haworthia that's flowered for me in the past, like, I don't know, several months. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, I just think that these are so fun. They're just adorable. They stay small, they're easygoing, and they flower. So what more could you want? But the other one that I was debating as well is my Stapelia. This is Gigantea, Stapelia gigantea. I also have the grandiflora. That's the one that flowers for me all the time. But I love Stapelia not only because they put out these very like dramatic starfish looking flowers, but I also just appreciate the foliage. Like the way that it looks is just so cool, and it's also soft, like they're fuzzy, and I didn't know that until I got one. So that's a fun little quirk of this plant. And yeah, I just think that it's so funky and fun, and I love the big crazy flowers that they put out. So I guess that's gonna be a little fourth option. Okay, next we are moving on to Alocasia, and the one that I immediately had to choose because this Alocasia is my new obsession is Alocasia watsoniana. Yeah, so that was this one leaf that it put out. When did it even put that out? In the fall, maybe like December actually, or maybe late fall, I don't know. But it put this stunning leaf out, and I was so just in awe of it because it was so just dark and velvety and beautiful. As you can see, it's not looking so hot anymore, but I'm forgiving her because it's currently working on this beautiful, larger, nice, healthy, dark looking leaf right there. So I'm really excited to see that come out. It's cool how you can see it in the petiole, like you can see it's like dark from here. Like it just looks so interesting. So we're saying goodbye to this leaf. Is this an Alocasia that's a one leaf club Alocasia? Let me know if you have one. It might be, because I don't know if I ever see these looking like full, but I don't even care. Like even if this only did have one leaf at a time, I would still love it because the leaves are just so striking. So I had to choose this one because it's just, it fills the void for the dark, velvety, striking veins. Again, like it's just so immaculate. I love it so much. So yeah, that has to be my first pick. And then for something different and fun, I'm gonna go with the dragon scale. This is the variegated one, but honestly, I love just the regular green dragon scale as well, but I thought having something variegated might be just fun to spice it up a little bit. So yeah, I'm gonna go with variegated dragon scale, and it's also different because it's a more compact jewel Alocasia, although the leaves still can get really big on dragon scale, which is fun. Mine is currently working on a new leaf and a bloom, which is crazy. At first I was like, oh no, it's just giving me a flower, but then I was like, wait, I think it's giving me a leaf too. So we'll see what that ends up looking like. But yeah, I just love this one. Obviously it's stunning, it's beautiful, it's perfect, it's undemanding, and yeah, I just feel like it is a great Alocasia option, and I know that this would just add so much interest to any small plant collection, any plant collection in general really. But I'm trying to think of plants that would be fun to grow if you know, had them on a smaller scale. And then my third option is going to be Alocasia Jacqueline. Yes, RIP to my Jacqueline. It croaked last year. It was such a pest magnet, and I've heard this many times from other people as well, but I can't help the fact that I'm in love with it. Like, I just can't help myself. It's like Velcro-y type leaf and crazy leaf shape and how big they can get. Also, that's a tall Alocasia, which I wanted to come up with an option for a tall Alocasia. There's also like Alocasia, what is it called? Longiloba. That would be a good option as well. Similar, like they can get really big and tall, I think. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna list off a million because that's not the point, but hello, monkey. But yeah, I just love the Alocasia Jacqueline. So I feel like these three would just be a really great little Alocasia collection, and you would have a really great variety just within those plants. So that's gonna be my final answer for Alocasia. Okay, so Monstera is honestly a tricky one for me. Sorry, I have to run to the vet before they close and I was seeing what time it is. Monstera is actually a tricky one for me because I know for sure Thai constellation is going to be on my list. I just feel like Monstera deliciosa needs to be in the Monstera category, obviously. So the form that I would choose is the Thai constellation because stunning variegation, they don't revert, like the variegation is stable, and they can get huge. I mean, really as big as you want them to get because you could chop them back or like, I don't know, whatever. But if you want like a big statement Monstera, I feel like the Thai constellation is just the perfect plant. So yeah, that has to be my number one. I am obsessed with my Thai constellation. I'm so glad that I went through the struggles that had to be gone through when it was small to get it where it is today, because it's just, she's an icon. So that one was easy to pick, but the other two options were more difficult, because the second one that immediately came to mind that I would always want to have in my home is the Monstera esqueleto. That's one of my all-time favorite plants. I think it's so fun. It's so easy growing, fast growing. The leaves size up like nobody's business. It's just such a rewarding plant to grow and so beautiful. So I feel like that one would for sure be my number two. I've just had so much fun with my esqueleto and it's done so well for me. And it also just gives major jungle vibes to any space. Like even if someone's house, if someone had no plants, but then they just had a massive Monstera esqueleto, I feel like it would just bring so much energy and liveliness into the home. So yeah, that's definitely gonna be two of the three. But when it comes to number three, I'm kind of struggling what to choose, because I mean, I would think Monstera albo, but then I'm like, well, I already have the Tycon on my list, so do I also need albo? But on the other hand, I love Monstera albo. I literally have two of them and I don't have two of almost any other plant. So I don't know. I could go Monstera albo, or I could go Adansonii, because I love the Adansonii so much. Am I saying that weird? Adansonii. I just feel like when this is a lush pot that is trailing, cascading down, I think that that's stunning. Specifically the green variety, because I've struggled with the variegated ones. So I love the green. This gets a nice dark green. Mine has not been in the best shape, so it's a little bit lighter. The leaves also get way bigger than this. This is the wide form Monstera Adansonii, which is my favorite form of it. I made a video on my Patreon the other day featuring the 10 plants that I've had for the longest out of my whole collection, and Adansonii was on the list. I got this in, I think, 2019. And I was just reminiscing on how much I love this plant and how much joy it brought to me, and just how cool it looked. Like I had it in this big pot and this big hanging basket, and it just looked so stunning. So I feel like Adansonii is one that I'd always want to have in my collection, but then I struggle with putting it on this list because I have the esqueleto, which is like a similar kind of look, even though it's grown differently. The esqueleto is climbing. But I feel like those would be my top three if I had to choose. You know, a Monstera that I've always wanted to try out is the Monstera, oh, what's it called? Monstera, what's that one was really rare, but then it wasn't rare at all? Obliqua, but Amazonica variety. It's just something about the way that it droops, or the way that it grows, I just really love, but I've never had one before. I've never come across one at a reasonable price, so that's one I'd like to try out, but I can't officially put on my list because I've never had it before. I also think if you're able to grow Monstera dubia well, that is a stunning, really fun option. I've never had the Burley Marks Flame, which I know everyone is obsessed with, but I don't really like those. So I don't know. Let me know, like, what Monsteras would be on your list? Well, what would be on your list for any of these plants? I would absolutely love to hear, but I feel like I'm really struggling with Monstera. Maybe I'm just not really a Monstera girly. I don't know. But yeah, I guess my three would be Tycon, and also, would I really have, yeah, I don't know. Tycon, Esqueleto, and Adansonii. But then the albo, I don't know. Okay, it's not that serious. Okay, so we are approaching the last three categories. So the next one is jungle cactus. Because I have a few different types of jungle cactus. I have multiple holiday cactus and ripsalis and stuff like that. So I thought that that would be a good kind of broad category to choose three out of. So the first one, of course, I'm sure to nobody's surprise, has to be the variegated Thanksgiving cactus. Now you could go with just the green one as well. I just think Thanksgiving cactus, or really holiday cactus in general, but this is my favorite one, my variegated Thanksgiving cactus, just because it is, it's just a fun twist. I feel like I keep saying that. It's a fun take on the traditional kind of holiday cactus, which is something that's very standard, I guess. Like, it's something that you can find in a lot of people's homes. It's often an heirloom plant, so like really big ones get passed down, which is so cool. So yeah, I just think that this is like a fun option as far as holiday cactus go. Anyways, how many different ways can I phrase that? I don't know. but I've always loved these. This is actually one of the plants that made me fall in love with houseplants. Not this particular one, but I had just a green one. It was one of the first plants that I got, and when it bloomed, I was just in disbelief because it's so beautiful. So of course this has to be on the list for jungle cactus. They're also just so easy to grow, and I think they're so interesting looking with like the chain link kind of leaves. Like, it's just so cool. They're so fun. And I feel like holiday cactus are so often overlooked. Like, oh, okay, it just dropped. Girl, where'd that drop from? I don't know if I need to like prune this. Oh wow, that's a pretty one it's putting out. I don't know if I need to prune this back or what, because some of them are all green and then some of them are going all white, or I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but I'm just kind of letting her do her thing for now. But yeah, I just feel like these are often overlooked. I think that sometimes plant people just write them off as being, you know, a boring common plant, but I think that this is one of the most interesting house plants that you can grow, and it's also just really easy going, and you're gonna get blooms at least once or twice a year, so what's not to love? And you can get flowers in different colors. This one is pink, which makes me very happy. But yeah, Thanksgiving cactus, just a stunning option that would certainly need to be in the collection. Next is going to be Ripsalis paradoxa, a stunning hanging plant option. Now this is another one that when it gets full, it gives that really, actually this should have been in the list that I said of what would be my favorite hanging plants: Linearis compacta, Burrow's tail, and Ripsalis paradoxa, because look at her. Especially when these get more full and they're like really dense, I think that they just look so magical. Again, we have a cool kind of like chain link vibe going on. Like, the leaves are just so interesting. Look at the shape. Like, they're so cool, and the new growth is so cute. It starts out really tiny and then it just expands and gets longer and longer. Such a gorgeous plant. Mine has been really happy in the south window so far, so I'm glad for that. We repotted this recently. Let's see. Oh wow, I can actually see some roots already. Not a ton, but it looks like it's settling in well, which is great. And I also think it's really cute in this little wicker planter. It hangs like this. Anyways, yeah, I love this one so much. I think that this is just such a cool looking plant. So that has to be on the list for jungle cactus. And then the last one to kind of round it out is going to be the fernleaf cactus. Of course, I have a massive one, actually kind of too massive, because it's just very much in the way and just, it's crazy. It's taken over the dining room, to be quite honest. Like, it comes out so far, but it's just so cool. I love the way that it looks so much. I've always loved the fernleaf cactus and I was so excited to finally get that one. And yeah, it's just completely taken off in the past couple of years. Another fun option, which is kind of similar to that one, is the rickrack cactus, but I do feel like I prefer the fernleaf just because it has that kind of frond look to it. Like, it looks really graceful, I guess would be the word, where the rickrack looks more just like quirky, which is still really fun, but you can kind of like choose your vibe, choose which one you want. They are both really similar in the way that they grow and everything. But yeah, love the fernleaf. Also, it would be spectacular if it bloomed for me, but it hasn't yet. I feel like it could though. Like, it's getting so mature and it's in the south window. I feel like it could happen. So yeah, that would be amazing if it did. Wow, that was actually an easy category. I was just like bing, bang, boom. Like, I knew my favorites. I mean, I don't have a ton of experience with growing different jungle cactus, so I feel like the ones that I have, I know that those are the ones that I love. Okay, and then the next category, I actually don't have any of them to show you, but I know, like, I've had enough experience growing them that I have opinions, okay? The next category is string ofs. So I'm talking anything that's the dainty kind of trailing string of whatever. There's so many different string of things: string of pearls, string of tears, string of needles, string of spades, string of hearts, string of like frogs, is there? I don't know, there's lots of different ones. So I was just thinking any dainty kind of string of whatever. So the three that I picked: string of pearls. I want to say the variegated one, but my variegated one kind of croaked, and I think that I might say just the green one, because I feel like when I think of string of pearls, I want one that's like really healthy and plump looking, and I feel like that's more easily achievable with just the green one. And I love the way a full string of pearls looks. I'm gonna have to get another one because mine, she's not looking good. But yeah, I do love that. It's just, again, it's like, it's such a dainty kind of look, and they're just so different. Like, it's such a strange, I feel like plants are so weird because they get normalized in our brains. Like, we see string of pearls 1,000 times, so we don't really think anything of it. But when you think about how crazy it is, like these little balls, like these leaves that are like little balls, like that's insane. So yeah, I just think that is such a cool plant, and that would be my first pick. Also, string of turtles. Now, I will say, regarding both string of pearls and string of turtles, I believe they're meant to be creepers, or like ground cover. They're meant to grow horizontally, like creeping along the forest floor or wherever they grow. So that can sometimes be why people don't have the best experience trying to grow them trailing. However, it is possible, and it's something that I would love to achieve one day, is to have like nice string ofs. So the next one on my list is string of turtles. Did I say it already? Am I just going around in a loop? String of turtles. Something about the string of turtles, it just looks so cool and cute. It's like dainty, and it puts out all those weird little peperomia flowers. I don't know, whenever I see a nice full lush string of turtles, it just does something to me, and I love them so much. I have struggled with them in the past. Mine is currently in propagation, so yeah, I'm still working towards having a nice one day, but I just admire them so much whenever I see them in other people's collections. I think that they're a fantastic plant, so gorgeous, would be my favorite peperomia by far, I think. Yeah, I just think that they're stunning. And then my third pick would be variegated string of hearts. Something about the variegated string of hearts, the like pink it gets to it, it's just so beautiful. If you have a nice healthy one growing in a sunny spot, I feel like it just gives such a whimsical vibe to the room. I think just because it has these like dainty colors to it, the whites and the pinks and the purple and everything, they just look so romantic and so beautiful, and I would love to have a nice healthy one. Again, I have variegated string of hearts in propagation, so I'm probably gonna be potting mine up soon because I would like to try to grow just a nice one. Mine, something always happens, like it always just gets looking janky or tangled. I mean, it's normal for them to be tangled, that's whatever, but mine always just start looking janky, so hopefully I'll be able to grow a nice one at some point. But yeah, that again was easy. Those would be my top picks for string ofs. And then the last category, oh, I guess I should go get the plants. Okay, so the last category is prayer plants. I had to add this on because I was thinking about my Marantas, and I was like, I don't really have enough Marantas to do a Maranta category, but for prayer plants in general, I've picked 2 of my Maranta plus my all-time favorite Calathea, which many of you probably already know is Calathea Worshewixii. I love that plant so much. In fact, I'm very tempted to go out and buy a new one soon, but I'm gonna hold off. The dark velvety leaves of the Calathea Worshewixii are just like, honestly, dream leaves to me. They're so soft and fuzzy too, purple backs, they're just so gorgeous, and they can get huge. That plant has challenged me pretty consistently the whole time that I had it. I don't have one currently because it croaked on me, RIP, but it's definitely one that, again, I plan on adding back into my collection. So I kind of have like a list going in my brain of plants that I know I really love and I want to have in my collection that I will be adding back in eventually. That is like lemon lime philodendron, like I said, Calathea Worshewixii. What else? I feel like I said something else in this video that I was, oh, Burrow's tail, of course. Yeah, I just love the Calathea Worshewixii, and it is my life's mission to grow a nice one. Once this pest issue, this mealy issue is resolved, I'm going to be getting one. Is that a good idea to, once I finally resolved my ongoing pest issue, bring a bunch of new plants into my house? Probably not, but I'm gonna try to be really slow and do things properly, like, what's it called? Actually quarantine my plants and everything, which is something that I don't really do currently because I just don't have a lot of space, but I'm gonna have to figure it out because I'm gonna be serious once these mealies are officially gone. Anyways, so that is the Calathea on my list. And then the Maranta, of course, my 2 favorite, actually I was kind of torn on this because the lemon lime Maranta I really love. I think that that is such a striking plant. I don't currently have one, but it is stunning. However, I decided to go with just the, I mean, this is a piddly one. Yeah, both of my variegated Maranta are in recovery right now. This one we actually just potted up the other day together in a video. yeah, variegated Maranta, not really much to show for itself yet, but this is gonna grow out and look fantastic again. I can feel it, okay? I can feel it, it's gonna happen. Yeah, but I love the variegated Maranta so much. It's another one that I've had, that I actually featured in my last Patreon video of the 10 plants I've had the longest. My variegated Maranta was on that list, and it just looked immaculate when I first got it. So I'm like, dang, I need to get it back to that. I just love everything about it, all the colors, all the like variety of leaves. Some can be really splashy, some can have sectoral variegation. It can get like a pinky red to it. It's just a stunning plant. I will always love variegated Maranta, and I highly recommend it. And then the other Maranta that I absolutely adore is the Maranta Silver Band. Now this one was looking really rough. I had to restart it, and now it's just growing back, so forgive her, but she is starting to look stunning again, honestly. I showed y'all this new leaf in one of my last videos, but yeah, it has like pink on it. It's dark, it's so pretty. So she's on her comeback, but just the colors in the Silver Band Maranta are just immaculate. This was so hard to find in Canada for years, you guys. This was on my wish list for so long, and then I was finally able to get one, and it was so big and lush and just looked amazing. And then it got infested with, I think, spider mites and mealybugs, and I had to just take cuttings because I could not deal with that. And now we're starting over again. But yeah, this is going to be a big bushy plant in no time. I can feel it, especially because it's in pond. Once it's established, it's just, oh yeah, I can already see multiple new leaves coming in. So I'm not concerned at all. This is going to be stunning in no time. But yeah, again, I love silver plants. I love the colors on this one. I just think that it is so fun. So that's going to be my third pick for the prayer plant category. Whew, I feel like that was quite the doozy. If you made it to the end, thank you so much, and I hope that you enjoyed. Again, I just thought that this was such a fun way to think about my plant collection, and I know that so many people are trying to curate their collections down to something more manageable, so it's kind of fun to think of, you know, if you could only have a few of each type of plant, which ones would you want and for what reasons? So maybe this gave you something to think about. Maybe it gave you some ideas for plants that you would like to have in your collection. Either way, I really hope that you enjoyed. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and again, comment and let me know which plants you would pick, or if you agree or disagree, whatever. I always love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.